The smell of sandalwood clung to the air of the livery stable, a stark contrast to the coppery tang of blood still staining the sawdust. Jedediah Stone knelt, his gaze fixed on the ruby lying amongst the bloodstains like a fallen king's jewel. Elias Thorne, slumped against a water trough, sobbed uncontrollably, his fine clothes rumpled and soiled. Flynn shifted nervously, his hand instinctively resting on the butt of his Colt. "He says he found him like this," Jedediah said, his voice low and measured, more to himself than to Clem. The he being Thorne, a man whose youthful face seemed to be crumbling under the weight of events. Thorne hadn't offered much more than a frantic retelling of finding the man, a stable hand named Hank, sprawled near the stalls, a single gunshot wound to the chest. A man Thorne claimed he's never seen before. "Says he was just passing by," Clem mumbled, wiping sweat from his brow. Jedediah grunted, passing by a livery stable in the dead of night. With the ruby tucked into his pocket, he carefully picked up the gem with a handkerchief, examining it in the fading light. It was exquisitely cut, clearly expensive. Hank, from what Jedediah had heard, was a simple man who earned barely enough to keep himself in flour and water. He wouldn't have been the sort to carry something like this. "He says he was scared, Marshal," Thorne continued, his voice choked with sobs. I didn't do anything." "You hired someone to warn Silas Blackwood, mister," Thorne, Jedediah reminded him, his voice sharp. "That's more than just passing by." Thorne flinched, burying his face in his hands. I just wanted him to stop digging. My father," he trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. "Your father," Jedediah repeated, letting the word hang in the air. "What's your father involved in, mister?" "Thorne." The jail was cold and damp, the iron bars a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. Thorne sat on the cot, his eyes red and swollen, barely acknowledging Jedediah's presence. "Silas Blackwood was investigating something, wasn't he?" Jedediah asked, leaning against the bars. "Opium, I hear." Thorne's body stiffened. "I don't know anything about that." "Don't insult my intelligence, mister." "Thorne, your father doesn't just grow prize-winning orchids. Blackwood was close to exposing a whole operation, bringing in shipments from New Orleans, funneling them through Copper Canyon." Thorne remained silent, his gaze fixed on a stain on the stone floor. Jedediah knew he was hiding something, shielding his father from the consequences of his actions. But what was the full extent of this web of deceit? "Who hired you to warn Blackwood, mister?" "Thorne," Jedediah pressed. Thorne hesitated, then whispered, "A man in a hat." "Describe him." I don't know. He was just tall, dark coat, wide-brimmed hat. I'm not good at remembering faces, Marshal. I'm just terrified." Jedediah nodded slowly. "A man in a hat. Convenient." He paused, then said, "Your father is a powerful man, Mr. Thorne. He has friends in high places." "He's a respected businessman," Thorne corrected, his voice trembling. "Respectable men don't deal in opium, Mr. Thorne." Jedediah straightened up, his gaze unwavering. Hank's death was at random. It was a message, a warning to anyone who gets too close to the truth. The ruby, now carefully stored in a small pouch, felt heavy in Jedediah's pocket. It was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a calling card, a symbol of power and intimidation. Later that evening, as the stars wheeled overhead, Jedediah found himself staring at a map of the Arizona Territory. New Orleans was a long way off, but the tendrils of its shadow reached even into the quiet corners of Copper Canyon. He traced a finger on the route of the Southern Pacific Railroad, knowing that it wasn't just carrying passengers and freight, it was also a lifeline for those involved in illegal trade. Clem approached cautiously, his face itched with concern. "Marshal, Silas Blackwood sent a message." Jedediah looked up. "What did he say?" "He wants to talk to you. Immediately. He says it's urgent." Jedediah's gut clenched. Silas Blackwood was persistent, and he didn't waste time with niceties. This wasn't just about Hank's death anymore. It was about something much larger, something far more dangerous. "Tell him I'll be there shortly," Jedediah said, his voice low and resolute. He looked back at the map, a sense of foreboding settling over him. The game had just begun, and he had a feeling it was going to be a long and bloody one. Hank wasn't just a stable hand. He was a loose thread, and someone had just cut it. And Jedediah Stone was determined to unravel the whole damn tapestry.